So wild. All right. So on this Mindset Monday, I wanted to share with you a video from one of the leaders that I've followed for years, probably one of the most inspirational guys that I know on the mindset of winning, right? Of being a champion, of just separating yourself from the great into the elite. And there are few people that have proven it over and over again, more or better than, I don't know if anyone has better than Kobe Bryant, right? And anytime he's been on any of the interviews that he has, and this is all, you know, collections of conversations that he's had, and we're gonna watch. I'm gonna share. There's an 11-minute video that I'm gonna play it back at like 1.25, so it'll be like 8 minutes. That he was talking with Patrick Bet-David on the mindset of winning and the mindset of being a champion. And then there's some thoughts and some notes that I had put together that I wanted to share with us as we move forward this week and understand and just kind of reframe how we see how we show up throughout the week. And are we showing up right champion minded, or are we showing up as just players? Right. Because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between the people that are excited to be at the Super Bowl, and there's a difference of a team that's there that the job's not done yet. Right. So let me pull up. Here we go. And give me a thumbs up if you can hear this okay. Can you?
First place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else. Like I would watch Magic play. I'd watch Michael play. And I would see them do these unbelievable things. And I'd say, you know, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out.
Recording in progress.
Best player in the game. Everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
So because you know what you want, the world's giving you exactly the information 100% better at it. Because you
years. It was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses.
When I'm muted, did the sound go away? Oh, shoot. Okay.
5. My hands are big, but they're not massive. Right? So you got to figure out ways to strengthen them. So your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast. Right. So I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can't remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game and it just never changed. It's a good separation for me, you know, emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice, when I'm training and doing games, I switch my mind to something else, switch my mode into something else. Right. For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time. Right. So that was my mental switch. It's like an actor getting ready for a film. You got to put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone.
how did you get mentally and emotionally so strong where it doesn't bother you?
Well, you know, you got to look at the reality of the situation. You know, like for me, it's not, you know, you kind of got to get over yourself. It's not about you, man. Like, oh, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. Like, get over yourself.
That's where you go.
Get over yourself, right? Like you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay. Well, why did those air balls happen? Got it. High school, year before, we played 35 games, max, right? Week in between, spaced out, plenty of time to rest. In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short. Right? I got to get stronger. I got to train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I got to tailor it for an 82-game season so that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale. Say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there. That was it. Done.
Were there some names that you looked at and says, These three guys are as crazy as I am.
At the time, I deal with what I've referred to as Goat Mountain. I went to Goat Mountain and I talked to Magic, Michael, Bird, Keem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Oscar Robinson, Bill Russell. So I would talk to them. What did you do? What were your experiences? Michael in particular, he's become my big brother. He's been my big brother since I first came in the league. And what was that process like? So I went to them and started understanding the ins and outs of the game and how they approach things and their level of detail and obsessiveness. And that's what I did. The players that had that passion, but weren't willing to commit their entire lives to doing that, right? It's a choice, right? You have other things, you have family, you have all these other things that you have to do. The game can't really be your number one priority. And so
Oh, come on.
So you're exploring ways to supercharge your small business, and maybe you're surprised to look.
I was just looking at that like, man, this is gonna be fun.
If I'm buddies with you from high school, if I'm a cousin of yours, what happened to our relationship? How did that gravitate when you went into the league and you're determined to become the greatest, or you're determined to become one of the greatest? What happens to our relationship?
But it suffers.
It does suffer.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you understood that. You were okay with that.
Well, yeah. And the people that love you, like friends and family, like they know that about you.
Got it.
So they let you be you. And when you reconvene, you pick back up where you left off. But make no mistake about it, everything in between is lost. Right. So those long-term relationships, the commitment of time of taking vacation. Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends. And they'll just take vacations just to take vacations or just hang out just to hang out. Like I never did that.
Why not? Why didn't you do that?
Well, because when I retire, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that. I don't want that. You got a lot of people paying their hard-earned money to come watch you perform. It's your job to be in shape. It's your job to be strong enough to perform at that level every single night. And as a competitor, I'm not ducking shit. Like it's not, oh my God, my back hurts, I'm sore. We got to play Vince Carter and Toronto Raptors tonight. We actually had this happen. We had a game against Toronto in 2000. And Vince was tearing the league up. My back was jacked. Like the perception of that, like what? Kobe's missing the game against Toronto and Vince Carter because my back was really spasming. But people will be like, what? Oh, he's ducking Vince. Excuse me? No, I don't think so. So I would be in the layup line like, okay, there's a lot of days where you can rest and recover. Today ain't one of them. Your back can bother you any other day. That ain't bothering me today. He's gonna have to see me today. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You're looking at a big investments you got to make. What is the decision-making process there? Do you call? Is there first you do your own research? You take this much time. You call an advisor. Is there a system you
It's
follow?
pretty simple for me. It's do you understand the business? Is it a business that you can help in some form or fashion? What are the barriers to entry to that business? And then the entrepreneurs themselves, the company itself, do they have a culture that you believe is sustainable? Are these leaders people that you believe in? Are they people that are obsessives? And in turn, have they created a culture of obsessiveness? So I tend to look at those four factors, and that's it. That's
big right there, by the way. I don't know if you guys caught that right there. That's pretty massive right there. Same determination. What's your current work schedule look like today?
It's different because I personally am not writing every word of the novels. I am not animating films. What I have to do now is make sure that the people that we bring in, these obsessives that we bring in, are challenging themselves to do the best job that they think they can do. That's what I'm there for, is for them to constantly look in the mirror and self-assess and challenge themselves. If we have a project and you're saying, okay, I can do that, that's not the project we want. The projects that say, I don't know if I can animate that. I don't know how to write that. I don't know how to do that. Those are the things we want, because through that curiosity, you'll reach a level that you didn't think was possible. And so running the studio, that's what I'm doing.
You're playing against the Golden State Warriors. Score is 107-109. You guys are close to getting into the playoffs. You know exactly what happens in the game. You go up, you're about to take your shot, and then all of a sudden, well, Achilles happens, right? He went and hit the free throws, and then you walked off the stage.
Yeah.
You got the surgery guy.
Right. I went in the trainer's room, my kids are in there, And, they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's all right, Dad, it's gonna be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. And as a parent, you gotta set the example. You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not going to cripple me. It's not going to be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm going to step away on my own terms. And that's when the decision was made that, you know what? I'm doing it. Doing it.
Okay. What are some of the things that pop out from that? And I want to share with you some thoughts as well.
One of the things that stood out for me, Matt, was his pregame ritual when he talked about the whole gladiator thing, that was getting the mindset ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of books. I mean, I'm sure you've read them too, that they talk about that pregame ritual to get your mind to change from where you're at to where you need to go to like make the dials, make the calls, make the conversation, whatever. You got to have a pregame ritual.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else?
Get over yourself.
That
It's
part.
not about me. It's about everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think when he was talking about people pay their hard-earned money to come
Mhm.
watch him. I was thinking even in our jobs, people pay their hard-earned money to hire us to do a job, and people should show up and perform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Listen, I don't know if it's lost because we've just been in the business for a minute, right? But think about this. You list a 400,000 and they buy a 600,000, right? That's 12 grand on the one side and there's 18 grand on the other side. That's $30,000 for a buy sell, right? 30 grand, which you can do in about 45 to 60 days if things go smooth. There may be bumps, there may be hiccups, right? 30 grand. The first time I ever made $30,000 was I was 30 years old, working full time. I had to work 40 hours a week for an entire year to make $30,000. And now we show up at a $450,000 house and then help them buy a $600,000 house. It takes, if we count it all up, about 30 hours of total work in preparation, marketing, etc., writing offers, scheduling inspections, scheduling the photographers, getting stagers, posting, online, marketing, printing out the collaterals. If you count it all up between the two, it's about $1,000 an hour. How are we showing up? How do you show up for someone that's about to pay you $12,000 on one side and you're about to receive 16 on the other? I'm not saying, I'm saying this to myself, right? How am I choosing to show up what stands out to me, right, is that when he talked about Goat Mountain, he didn't talk about the good guys. He didn't talk about the players that have been in the league for a minute. And he made it also really clear. He's like, there's a difference between the guys that are obsessed with the game and the guys that are playing and yet still have a family, etc. And here's the thing, and I'm not saying also one way or the other. I'm saying understand that the difference between elite and the sacrifices. And there are some things I'm not willing to sacrifice. I got to understand them. And then there's also going to be downsides on the other side, right? There's certain parts of my world that I have to, that I choose to counterbalance. So then I got to ask myself, okay, in the times that I'm in, how hard am I going after it? How hard am I actually showing up in the times that I've committed? Because there's definitely some times that I said, when I'm not working, I'm not working, right? I've made those choices in the commitment. So in my mind, it's this, and here's the mindset, is that if you truly love your family and you say that you're doing it for your family, how hard are you actually working on your business to honor that? So for me, it's like, am I willing to show up as a gladiator by myself in the arena, shoot the air balls, make the calls, get hung up on, or make 100 dials and no one answers, and excitedly do it the very next day? Because I've made a commitment to the people that are counting on me to show up as a gladiator, to get over myself, to not worry about the air balls, to not worry about what I sound like or what I look like or whatever, right? Like my daughters and my wife are looking forward to our trip to New Jersey. And I got to do what it takes today and the next day in order to put us in a position where I get to actually be there with them. So that's the kind of stuff that sticks out for me, right? Like the difference in the mindset of the elite versus the good. And what's the first thing he did? He didn't say, I'm the best, I'm just going to do it myself. He said, what? I went to the top of the mountain. I collected the goats. He stayed humble and he came from curiosity and he surrounded himself with a tribe of savages. And he didn't look at them and say, must be nice.
It's gonna be over in a few
He
minutes.
said, what did you do different? How did you show up?
You think
What were the, and he said, like,
Well,
it's the
smart house.
details and the obsessiveness,
Auto parts store.
right? It's the details and the obsessiveness that he keyed in on. What are the details that we might be missing because we're overlooking, because we think they're too simple and we're looking for some sort of button, some sort of approach, some sort of system, some sort of email, some sort of drip campaign, some sort of automated whatever it is. What are we missing? Where it's just simply that. It's just the detail. It wasn't part of this video, but I shared it on a couple other calls in the past where there was a journalist who was granted the opportunity to interview Kobe. And he knew that Kobe goes to practices early. So this journalist decides to show up an hour early to the scheduled practice. And what he discovered is that Kobe was already working out, and he was already sweaty. It looked like he'd already been working out for about an hour. But what he saw him doing was like real basic baseline drills, right? Layups, little like super fundamental stuff that this journalist teaches his middle school team. And then the practice happened, and at the end of the practice, he finally had an opportunity to interview Kobe, and he said, you know, I couldn't help but notice I came early. You were already here. And he's like, why is the arguably the best basketball player to have ever played doing such basic stuff, just doing such fundamentals? And Kobe said, well, that's simple. How do you think I became the best player? And it was just simply mastering the fundamentals, mastering the basics. Right. And then last thing I'm going to share, and we got 5 minutes. I want to hear from you guys as well and this was a quote that I saw the other day, is that at first everything is challenging until it becomes easy. And then once it becomes easy, that's when it becomes hard. Everything's challenging. Listen to the difference. Everything is challenging until it becomes easy. Then once it becomes easy, then it becomes hard. Because the moment it becomes easy, we start to discredit it. And we think we got to do something fancy again. And we look for the next challenge as opposed to becoming accustomed to the boredom of mastery. Everything's a challenge till it becomes easy. Then when it becomes easy is when it gets hard, because we want to start doing something else when the thing that we should be doing is a thing we've been doing. And if we just continue to do it, and if you did it all year long, your life would be different. I promise you. Thoughts, ahas, takeaways. Time to unmute and share.
Yeah, no, my thought, I mean, just what you just said last, that's, I don't know, crazy to think about, because the whole goal of like, starting something is it's hard and you want it to be easy. And then you're right. Like as soon as it gets to the point where you're easy, you're like, oh, okay.
Should be doing something
Oh,
else.
yeah, yeah. What else am I supposed to be doing? And that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
What you're shooting for in the beginning was for it to be easy. So yeah, that's just crazy to think about that.
And that's the thing, right? That's the trap. It's a trap. I've fallen into that trap over and over and over. I wish I could share with you how many times I've messed up in that same capacity. Right. And I have to remind myself, I gotta have people like Kobe to remind me, like, get back to the simple. Everything, look, this business is simple. It's not easy. Why is it not easy? Because it's simple. What's easy to do is easy to discredit. What's easy not to do. That's the challenge. And we set a goal for 20 contacts. And then when you do 17, you're like, good enough. You take 3 contacts a day, every single day for the rest of the year. So if you're doing five days a week and you're doing 52 weeks, or let's say 50, that's 2,500 contacts. In those 2,500 contacts, that's another 25 deals from the 3 that was just good enough. I think that maths, but it might not. I just said it was conviction. So believe what I said. Don't do the math. Just know this. There's 25 deals in there. Ish. All the high C's are like, that's girl math. That's girl math. Don't do that. Thoughts. Other thoughts.
I went through the whole thing, and I've come full circle in like less than 10 minutes. Because at first I was like, okay, this is just bullshit. I'm not going to sacrifice my family and blah, 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 blah. And then you got to start talking about, well, if you're going to show up for your family like you say you are, and we want to go to Italy this fall, my husband and I, for my birthday, my big birthday, a big birthday. And it's like, I need to chop. And, I need to get back to basics because that's what got me doing things really well. And not doing the basics made me have my slowest order this year. I had the best year last year, but not doing the basics. By April 1st, I'd sold 1 house. Now things are really picking up because I've been doing things I'm supposed to do.
Weird.
Oh God, what a shocker.
Weird.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said what's easy to do is not simple. Everything is challenging, and then it becomes easy. Becoming accustomed to the boredom of mastery.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you though, I went to see my son, for Mother's Day and his birthday. We had a few hours by ourselves for the first time in years because he's got a fiance and 2 kids, and I'm sitting there at Red Lobster doing a deal while he's sitting right in front of me.
Oh,
because I mean, it was right then and there, and it's like I couldn't have even said, "Okay, hey." I mean, and maybe I should have. Maybe I just should have turned off my phone. But I mean, it was like my sister-in-law is finally buying a house. I've shown her 30 houses in 2 years, and I want to kill her. And but we got the deal done, and my son kept saying, "It's okay, Mom. It's okay, Mom. It's okay, Mom." But I mean, I could just cry thinking about it right now. And time is of the essence kind of thing. We're in the middle of, doing, the pricing and everything. And it's like, there is the guilt, and it's like,
let me ask you a question. And this is for everybody.
Yep. I know you're going to get me. I'm ready.
No, I'm not. This isn't designed to get anybody other than to get perspective.
Right.
If you were driving in the country and you had no reception and it took you 35 minutes to get into a spot with reception and you finally got the message, would the deal still got done?
Yeah.
If you were in a closing and you couldn't answer your phone for 30 to 45 minutes and you got back to your sister-in-law, would the deal still gotten done?
Yeah.
You don't get that dinner back.
No.
You said it's the first time you got to just be with your son in a long time. The
Mhm.
problem is that he'll say it's okay until it's not.
Right.
And here's the other thing. And this is sobering, and this gives me chills thinking about it. The thing about last times is you don't know it's the last time when you're in it. That's it. Every moment counts. Ugh, somebody say something fun. I leave that with you guys as encouragement to appreciate the moments, protect the moments, which means when you're in work, be all in at work. Leave nothing on the table. Become the gladiator. Go in and fight to the death if you need to when you're there. So then when you're there, you can be there. Your son deserves you to be there. And you've earned the right to be there when you show up as a gladiator when you're supposed to be a warrior. That's it. I love you guys. Happy Monday. Have an amazing week.